Hi, today I'm going to walk you through a technique that can eliminate any kind of negative emotion, any kind of physical pain that you might have in your body. This technique is called E.F.T or Emotional Freedom Technique. It's an easy technique. It only takes few minutes to do, and it has amazing effect on the well-being of your the whole body, your mental health, emotional health, and physical health. So if you're suffering from anything minor, from a headache to a shoulder pain to a stomach ache, knee pain, or if you're having some negative emotional feelings coming up for you, sadness, fear, anxious thoughts, or even some limiting beliefs, something that happened to you at age 10 and your father or your mother scolded you in front of your peers, and you're still suffering from that negative feeling or negative emotion every time you think about that incident. So all of this can be eliminated within minutes by this very easy technique and quick technique actually. So the way EFT or emotional freedom technique works, it's you're tapping on 9 major meridians or energy points, the same ones that acupuncturists use. So acupuncture points or acupressure points are what we are using in tapping or EFT as well. Anytime that we're going through a physical pain, emotional distress, emotional negative emotions that are coming up for us, the flow of energy inside of us, it's being disrupted. When the flow of energy is disrupted, that means that some kind of a blockage is happening in the body. So what EFT does, it realigns and tunes in with the energy of the body and makes the energy flow smoothly and circulate smoothly throughout our body. So that's the premise of EFT. Now, there are 4 steps to learning the technique. First and foremost is the assessment. Second one is the setup. Third one is the sequence of the tapping. And fourth one is the suggestion. And we're going to go over each one of them in details. So assessment is pretty much self-explanatory. When you think about a pain or a problem that you want to solve or eliminate, for instance, let's say headache. When you think about this headache, from scale of 0 to 10, how intense is this pain in your body? 0 being extremely low or not occurring, 10 being most extreme. Most probably at 0, you will need EFT, and 10 is the extreme end of the spectrum. So assess where that pain or distress or discomfort or negative emotion is in your body. For physical pain, it's pretty easy to assess. For emotional distress in the body, what you can do to assess and put it on a scale is to remember that emotion, remember that experience, and see what is happening in your body. And then you can put a number into the scale. So that's the first step, assessing from scale of 0 to 10 where your discomfort or dis-ease is laying on that scale. The second step into tapping is the setup. And the setup is very, very important. I've seen people that start tapping without the first initial setup. The setup actually initiates the process. And the purpose of the setup is to acknowledge the problem, the pain, or the dis-ease, and then saying to yourself that I accept myself despite the problem that I have. And the setup is done with your hand facing perpendicular to your body, and it's the outside of your palm, the fleshy part of your hand, which we call the karate chop. And what we do with 2 fingers or 4 fingers, doesn't matter, we start tapping on this karate chop and we say a phrase. Let's say we want to clear our headache. Even though I have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. So this is the setup. Now, usually what I do with NLP and hypnotherapy, we don't focus on the problem. We tend to focus our attention on finding a solution. This technique, however, is to concentrate and put our attention on the problem and accepting and acknowledging the problem. So while you are tapping, the best way is to put your attention on the headache and not on counting. Usually when we do tapping, between 5 to 7 tap would be sufficient enough. Now, this doesn't mean that you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and then move to the next point. Start tapping, 5 or 7 how many taps that is, and if you go over, that's completely okay. You're not gonna mess up the system or the technique. Just concentrate when you're tapping on the problem that you're trying to eliminate. So that's the second part. The next part is the sequence of the tapping on the meridians. The first one is on the beginning of your eyebrow, where your eyebrow, if you have normal eyebrows, where the beginning of the eyebrow starts. With 2 fingers, you start tapping and you concentrate on the headache or whatever the problem is, and you say, this headache, this headache, this headache, and you do this 5 to 7 times, and if you go over, it's completely okay too. The next point is the end part of your eyebrow or the side of the eye, not your temple, but like where your eye kind of ends, this part of the head. So you start tapping and you repeat the same phrase, this headache, this headache, this headache. And then you move to the next meridian point or tapping point, which is under your eye, a little bit like where your pupil is, about 1 inch underneath it. And you start tapping and saying the same phrase, concentrating on the problem or the pain or this is. For example, this time we are concentrating on the headache. So this headache, this headache, this headache. The next point, tapping point, is below your nose, above the top of your upper lip. So right in between here, that's where you start tapping and repeating the same thing. Next one is on your chin. So if you go like this, it would be easier to tap. It's like that dimple or that indentation that you have between your below your lower lip and a little bit above your chin. So right here is where you start tapping. That's the next tapping point. This headache. Keep saying it. The next point is, they call it collarbone, but it's actually below the collar point. So when you see this U shape that you have here, this hollow point in your neck, if you go about 1 inch down and to either side, either left or right, where you feel that fleshy part, that's where you start tapping. And then this is your next tapping point. You start tapping, concentrating on the problem, headache, or whatever that you are trying to eliminate. You start tapping there. Next one is under the arm. Now, about 4 inch below your armpit. For women, it would be in the middle of your bra strap. For men, it would be a straight line from your nipple all the way under your underarm. So this is the part that you do. Most people, if they do it with four fingers, it might be a little bit tender. So either way that you want to do it, with four fingers, or you can slap it, or you can tap it this way. Whichever way you do, it's totally fine. That's your next tapping point. The next tapping point is the crown of your head, the top of your head. So, and you start tapping here, saying the same thing, this problem, this headache, or whatever else that you're trying to get rid of and eliminate. That's the next part. So those are the tapping points. Now, the next one, usually before we go to the next one, usually tapping happens, you need to do 2 or 3 rounds of tapping before the problem or the pain is completely gone. Now, with each round of tapping that go back and assess where you are after tapping. So let's say in the beginning, when we assessed the pain, it was at 6. Now, after the first round of tapping, now you are at 4. So you can measure your progress. The second round of tapping, you don't need to do the setup again. You can go right into tapping points, starting from the eyebrow, the side, the under the eye, here, 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 and here. Okay, you do that second time and then assess and measure the progress again. Now, sometimes we reach a plateau after 3 or 4 times of tapping. Let's say the pain or the discomfort was at 6, and with 3 rounds of tapping, we got it down to 2 or a 1. And it's not moving any less, and it's staying stuck at 1. Now, if that happens, what you need to do is to start the setup again. And instead of saying that, even though I have this headache, you say, even though I have this remaining headache, I deeply and completely accept myself. So you add the word remaining into the setup. Once the setup is done, you go ahead and you do 1 or 2 rounds of tapping. And you've seen the tapping takes maybe 30 seconds max. So it takes about a minute and a half to do 2-3 rounds of tapping. Once you do that, 99.99% of the time, your problem, the pain, the emotional distress will be gone. Once you get to 0, then we want to kind of seal the progress, seal the healing per se. So what we do is we go back to the tapping points and we give ourselves some positive affirmation and suggestions. So it would go something like, I love and accept myself. I love the fact that I can heal myself. My body is well, vital, and healthy. I love that I can heal myself. I love myself and I appreciate and accept myself. Life is beautiful and I'm feeling totally healthy and vibrant. I love my healthy body. My healthy body is serving me well. Whatever comes up to mind. These are suggestions that you can choose what to say and which one to say at what point. It doesn't have a script. Whatever comes to mind that feels right at the moment and feels empowering and liberating to you at that moment. So we go with 1 round of positive suggestions, affirmation to seal the healing, and that's it. That's the whole EFT, emotional freedom technique. As you can see, it's easy. The steps can be very easily remembered, and once you get to learn the process and the steps, it can be very, very fast and quick. I mean, you can do it while you're driving, while you're sitting watching TV. Anytime that something comes up, this is a quick way to eliminate that pain or that problem or that negative emotion that you have. One last thing that I want to add is when you're doing tapping, concentrate on one problem, one pain at a time. Let's say if you're having a headache, a shoulder pain, or and you're feeling sad, don't do all three at the same time. Concentrate on one problem, one issue at a time, and do 3-4 rounds of tapping for that particular issue, and then move to the next one. So remember, one issue or one problem or one negative emotion at any given time. Okay, take care. Let me know how it goes. I love to hear your empowering and healing comments below. Love to hear them. Take care and talk to you soon.